Today we are going to learn how to fetch data from an endpoint or an API and display in Android using GridView. As you can see in this example, we are retrieving an image and the name of the image and then displaying in a GridView manner. When I tap on any of the GridView item, a new activity starts and the image and the name of that item is displayed. So I have a list of images and their names from this endpoint I've created here. So if I click execute, you can see I have ID, name, and the URL. It's a list of images. So this is what I'm displaying on my Android application. I'm using a couple of dependencies to achieve this. There is Retrofit, there is HTTP3 logging interceptor to intercept my calls. As you can see here, I'm able to log the request and the response. So I'm getting 200, okay, this is the response, and this is the content, and this is the get, which is now the request. I'm using Grid and Grid compiler so that I can be able to display the image. So this is what we are going to learn in our tutorial today. So let's get started. This is a fresh project that we are going to use. So the first thing that I'm going to start with is adding dependencies. So I'm going to start by adding Retrofit. From the Retrofit's website, I'm going to grab the dependency here and then add it. The latest version as at now is 2.90. I'm also going to add converter library. I'm going to use Json. The current version is also 2.90. Then I'm going to add HttpLoggingInterceptor, that is logging interceptor. And finally, I'm going to add Grid. So I'm going to pick this, add it here, and then sync my project. So the Grid is building. So once I sync the project, one more thing that I'm going to do is configure my Grid. So I'm going to create a class. According to their documentation, make sure you create my upgrade module that simply extend from upgrade module. So I'm going to create it here, new. Okay. Then I'm going to copy this one. For now, I'm going to leave it empty. Import this one and import this one. So the next thing that I'm going to do is add API client, whereby I'm going to configure Retrofit. So I'm going to have a method that returns Retrofit. So I'm going to have private static Retrofit get Retrofit, and within it I'm going to have Retrofit equals to new Retrofit dot build. So I'm going to add a couple of things before I build. So I'm going to add base URL. So according to my API, the base URL is api.learntech.net. Then I'm going to add converter library, so which is Gson. Remember we have added Gson.create, and then I'm going to add HTTP logger. So I'm going to have HTTP logging interceptor, new HTTP logging interceptor. So HTTP logging interceptor set level, I'm going to log the whole body. So level body. Then I'm going to have OK HTTP client, which is equals to new OK HTTP client dot build dot build. Then I'm going to add interceptor, which will be HTTP logging interceptor. Then in my retrofit, I'm going to add client, which is now OK HTTP client. And then I'm going to return retrofit. So I'm done configuring the retrofit. The other thing that I'm going to create is an interface that allows me to define all my methods. So I'm going to have API interface, and then within it I'm going to have get all images, and this is a call that is going to return a list of images. So I'm going to have images response. So let me create a class of images response, and within the images response, the data that I'm expecting is ID, name, and URL. So I'm going to have private int ID, private string name, private string URL. I'm going to generate getters and setters. Then back to my API interface. So when I say get all images, I'm going to get a list of images response. So this is a get request, and I'm going to go to the endpoint that have a relative URL of images. Then back to my API client, I'm going to write another method, which is now public static API client API interface get interface. So I'm going to have my API interface. API interface will be get retrofit dot create API interface dot class. Then I'm going to return API interface. So I'm done with configuration. The next thing will be on my main activity. I'm going to write a method that fetches my data. Public void get all images. So I'm going to have a call, and the call is a retrofit call. So I'm going to have call. Then I'm going to expect a list of images response, images response. I'm going to have API client dot get interface dot get all images. So I'm going to have a list of images response list, which is a new array list. So I'm going to queue this request images response dot queue, and then I'm going to listen to the callback, new callback response. Within the response, we have on response and on failure. The first thing, let me listen on failure. So I'm going to have string message, and the message will be t.get localized message. So I'm going to toss the message toast.make text, and then the class is main activity.this, the message is message, and toast.length long, and finally show. In case an error occurs, we are going to display the message. Then on response, first thing I'm going to check is the response successful. If not, I'm going to display an error message saying an error occurred, try again later. If the response is successful, I'm going to display the same message with a success message. Request successful. So I'm going to call this method when the main activity starts. So let's see. This is a private, which is a new array list. Okay. Now let's learn and see what we have. I'm going to add a permission that is uses permission, and that is internet permission. So let me close this one. So Gradle build learning. So the Gradle is learning. Let's see. Oops, there is an error here. So I'm going to add compile options here. Compile options, and I'm going to have source, compatibility. I'm going to have Java version. I'm going to use 1.8. Then I'm going to have target, compatibility. I'm going to have Java version. I'm also going to have version 1.8. So sync the project, and then learn the project. So the application is now installing. Let's see what we have here. So the application has launched, but we have not added any GridView. But as you can see from the response body, we have our list ID, name, and the URL. ID, name, and the URL. So this is the importance of adding this library called HttpLoggingInterceptor. So our next task will be to display this data in a GridView. So I'm going to start by adding GridView. So I'm going to change this one to a linear layout. I'm going to give it orientation vertical. Then I'm going to have my GridView. I'm going to match parent, lab content. I'm going to give it horizontal spacing of 4. I'm going to give it vertical spacing of 4. I'm going to give it margin of 1. And I'm going to give it number of columns to be 2. The ID should be GridView. So back to my main activity, I'm going to have GridView. And I'm going to find it here. So GridView is equals to find view by ID al.id.GridView. So the next thing, I'm going to create a layout that holds the GridView items. So I'm going to have low grid items, and within it, I'm going to start by adding card view. So I'm going to use card view. Let me add the library. Yes. So adding component. So once the library is added, we're going to use card view here. So let's see. Okay, the library is now successfully added. So I'm going to change this on GridView. Width I'm going to match parent, height I'm going to lab content. Within it I'm going to have relative layout, going to match parent, lab content. And within this one I'm going to have an image view, match parent, and I'm going to give it a height of 150. The ID I'm going to give it image view. Then I'm going to close that one. I'm going to set scale, fit XY. And then below it, I'm going to have a text view. I'm going to lab content, text. I'm going to give it a sample. And then I'm going to horizontally. Then I'm going to have ID to be text view. Then should be below my image view and should have a top margin of 5 and a bottom margin of 5. Then my card view, I'm going to give it background color. Let me start by elevation. I'm going to give it 5. So I'm going to give it up elevation, card elevation, sorry, it is card elevation. I'm going to give it 5. I'm going to give it corner radius. I'm also going to give it 4. I'm going to give it background color, white. So I'm going to give it margin 2. So my test image, let me have an image source. And I'm going to give it launcher for testing. So I have an image view and a text view. So back to my main activity, I'm going to create an adapter class. So I'm going to have public class custom adapter, and I'm going to extend base adapter. I'm going to generate methods, and here what I require is private list of images response. I'm also going to require private context. I'm going to require private layout inflator. I'm going to generate constructor, and then I'm going to have this dot layout inflator is equals to context dot get system service, and then I'm going to have layout inflator service. I'm going to cast this on to layout inflator. The count, I'm going to return a list size dot size. Then to my main, so I'm going to return here view. Here I'm going to have if view is equals to null. Then I'm going to create it, so I'll have view will be layout inflator dot inflate all dot layout dot low grid item, and then the view group will be view group and attach will be false. Then I have my image view, and I have my text view. So let me find image view is equals to view dot find view by id all dot id dot image view. The text view should be view dot find view by id all image.id.textView. Remember, these image view and text view are from these. We have image view and we have text view. So I'm going to set the data. So I'm going to have text view dot set text. Then I'm going to have my list dot get position design dot get name. Then my image view, I'm going to have my grade dot. As you can see from their documentation, they have two options. You can either decide to use grade up. They have several methods. You can set the size. You can have even the placeholder. But as for now, we are going to have the basic, that is grade up with our activity, where we are going to load the image and where we are going to set it. So we are going to have our grade up dot with our context is get context. Let's use our context dot. We are going to load the URL to be image response dot get URL get the position of the image is I dot get URL dot into our image view. So let's break this one. I'm going to break it there and I'm going to break it there. So back to my main activity, I'm going to have once we have the response is successful, we're going to have a custom adapter. Custom adapter is equal to new custom adapter. Now custom adapter requires the response, which is now, as you can see, images response list is equals to response. Remember, our body is a list of images response. So I'm going to insert this one, and the next thing is context, which is main activity dot this. I'm going now to set this data to my GridView dot set adapter to custom adapter. So let's run our activity and see what we have. So gradual build learning, installing the application, so the application is launching. So as you can see, the request is successful. We have image 1, image 2, we have the images are loading. So we have our image and the name, image and the name, image and the name, image and the name. So the next thing that we are going to do is to listen on click. So when the grid view is clicked, so GridView dot set on click listener. So we're going to have new adapter view that's on click listener. So I'm going to toast first the name of the clicked. So I'm going to have toast.make text. So let me just get this one. Now our message will change to name, and the name should be our list of responses dot get the position, that is I dot get name. This is the position I, this is the image list response, which we have added this data. So let's learn and see. So the application is installing. So once I click this, I have image 1, image 4. So the next thing that we are going to do is pass this data to a new activity and display it. So I'm going to start by creating a new activity, empty activity, and the name I'm going to call it crypt. So once from the main activity you create the item, I'm going to say start activity, new intent, and then I'm going to move from my main activity dot class to click activity dot class. This should be in activity dot base. Then I'm going to pass with data, put extra, that is data, and the data that I'm going to pass is my image view response list dot get possession I. So for me to pass this data, I need to serialize it. So I'm going to extend implement serializable. So back to my main activity, let's see. So I'm passing this data. Then in my crypt activity, what I'm going to do is have image response. I'm going to have intent is equals to get intent. So if intent dot get extras is equal to null, not equal to null, then I'm going to have our image response is equals to intent dot get serializable extra data, and then I'm going to cast it to image response. So let's see the data that we have. So I'm going to log dot a, and then I'm going to have the name. Then I'm going to say, let me put this on data. So our message that we are going to log is string message will be image response dot get name. So the name plus the real name now. And this is the data that I'm going to log. So let's learn and see. So the application is installing. So once I click, let's see if there is something that was logged. So the name of the image is image 1. So if I click image 4 or image, let me click image 6. So the name of the image is image 6. So this data I'm going to display it in an image view and a text. So I'm going to have relative layout here. And then I'm going to have an image view. I'm going to have 300. Then I'm going to give it ID. I'm going to say selected image. I'm going to center it. So center in parent true. And then I'm going to have a text view. Lab content. The text should be image. Actually, the text is the past text. So I'm going to have it the ID to be selected name. And this one I'm going to horizontally center it, and bottom, but I'm going to give it bottom margin to 20. Size I'm going to give it 16. So let me display this data now. So horizontally, okay. Selected image, selected name. So I have text view. I've selected, or let me say TV name. And then I have image view, which is image. Let me give it to image view. So my TV name is equals to find view by ID al.id.selected name. Then image view equals to find view by ID al.id.selected image. So I'm going to set data. I'm going to have set text my image response .get name. And then I'm going to set my image view. So I'm going to have my grid app dot with this dot load image response dot get URL dot into my image view. So let's learn and see what we have. So the application is installing. So let's see. Request successful. So when I click this one, I have the image and I have the name of that image. So the last thing that I'm going to do is customize the theme to no action bar. Then I'm going to learn my activity. Once again, the application is installing. So as you can see now, we don't have the action bar. When I click, we have the image and the name. So that's all, guys. Thank you for watching. If you have any question, feel free to comment below. And if you are not subscribed, subscribe for more tutorials.